Hello, everybody. We are doing an informal live stream today, all about weight loss. And I've been talking about stubborn weight loss for, oh gosh, I don't know, almost 2 weeks. It feels like forever, actually. But I wanted to come on here onto my YouTube channel right now and talk to you guys a little bit of a recap of what we ended up going through yesterday during a live stream that I did, an actual masterclass that I did, I should say. And the attendance was absolutely amazing. But here I want to be able to break down, and yes, my messy little hotel room that I'm at right now. So don't mind the stuff in the background. But I wanted to break down a little bit of a recap of yesterday, and also to be here if you guys have any questions whatsoever regarding Sexy Shed. So Sexy Shed, if you have no idea what Sexy Shed is, it is my hormone weight loss 8-week, can't even speak, 8-week coaching, hormone weight loss coaching program. There we go. That's a little bit easier, right? And we are diving into so much during that time. I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about what that is. I'm just making sure that I have all your comments that are loaded in here. And I can't wait to kind of give you guys a bit of a recap to understand what we went through yesterday, why I'm all about weight is nothing but a symptom, what you can do, and also to talk a little bit about Sexy Shed because it literally just launched, and just so that you guys are fully aware of this, we ended up extending the early bird pricing. We had such a high attendance rate yesterday during the masterclass that I feel like we broke the internet. So the early bird pricing has been extended, and I will drop that here for Sexy Shed, which is my hormone weight loss 60-day coaching program. It's got like a ton of experts, etc., and it's amazing. But that price actually for it is going to go up tomorrow, Thursday, January the 14th, by end of day. So if you have not joined us, make sure that you grab that link. Otherwise, you're going to pay more money. Okay. So thank you to Tina and Heidi that are watching in right now. She says, info on this problem: lower belly fat and hip thigh area, endomorph body female. Want to lose about 20 pounds and bring down the body fat from 27% to 23%. Stress out easily. I have a 4-year-old boy. Thank you. And then Heidi asks, can you regain muscle strength and hormone balance after a partial laparoscopic hysterectomy? What is the best way and exercise? Okay, so these are great questions. So number one, weight is a symptom. The faster that you guys can realize that, the faster you can start getting attainable results. So the reason why that I bring this up is because we covered several things during this masterclass yesterday. We covered the fact that, obviously we spoke about the gut. If you have not addressed the gut in your weight loss journey, you're missing a massive piece of the puzzle. Your gut is where virtually every single hormone is produced, secreted, inhibited, is in your gut. This is the reason why I often don't usually run hormone testing as my first go-to. And the reason why that I don't is because I'm more interested in what's affecting your hormones, okay? And the gut certainly is one of them. The other thing that we spoke about yesterday is the adrenal component. So if you are someone who has very poorly mismanaged stress levels and you're trying to eat well and exercise and nothing is shifting, and people say to me, I'm a carb addict. And I always say to them, you don't have a food problem, you have a lifestyle problem. This is the reason why in Sexy Shed, we actually have as one of our experts, Lisa Carpenter, and she's actually back the 3rd year in a row as one of our she's the most popular talk that we have. She is a master coach and an emotional resilience expert. She is phenomenal. And I can tell you that there's generally tears, not from like a, oh, you hurt me tears, but an absolute, holy shit, I can't believe I've been missing out on this. So she's going to be joining us as one of the experts that are going to be interviewed during the coaching program. But I'm telling you right now that it is absolutely fucking crucial that you address those lifestyle factors, because oftentimes what I see in women is that they are sacrificing themselves to enable and appease other people. Why do they do this? Number one, sometimes if we're sacrificing ourselves to appease family and friends and even our children, moms, you guys are, this is a big one for you. it's often there's codependency there, and it's where I see mothers, especially, and not just exclusively moms, but moms are big ones, where they go into this I do everything for everybody and no one does anything for me type martyr syndrome. And the goal is to not be a martyr, but to be a model for your kids. And the society has really trained us to love so hard everybody and everything in our lives to the point that we actually cease to exist. And it's not at all how you have to be operating, because that's going to catch up. And even what I've noticed is yesterday when I was chatting with women and I said, well, is staying up late your only me time? And most times women will say, by the time that I'm done doing everything, it's late. That is my only me time. And that's when I relax. The problem is what you're not realizing is that's stealing from your me time. It's robbing you of responding in life. It is promoting more reactionary behavior. And on top of it all, it's creating an insulin surge. So for those of you guys who don't know, insulin is your fat storage hormone. And when you stay up late, that insulin is going to start surging, and so does cortisol, which is the hormone released in response to stress. We need cortisol. It is an anti-inflammatory hormone, but when it's pumping harder than a kid at the Jersey Shore, I can tell you that it is going to actually end up doing more harm than good. It also stores fat, believe it or not, especially around the midsection. Okay, so for those of you guys who are struggling with belly fat, you got to look at your cortisol issues. And again, no food, no exercise is going to fix you unless a lot of the stress is being managed. Now, you might be like, well, that's really easier said than done. You have no idea what I'm going through, but that's exactly the reason why, a live stream here or a masterclass alone is not going to help you. If you think that's the case, you're fucking kidding yourself, and you're looking for a magic bullet that simply doesn't exist. You need to have actually experts who are going to be there to coach you in this. So this is the reason why I do expert interviews in the Sexy Shed. It's the reason why it's a 2-month program. You get access. Okay, and that early bird pricing is on right now, so just make sure that you check the link that I posted in the comments, which I just pinned. Side note also that I want to stress is that going on the whole adrenal part, the thing that you guys have to realize is that if the stress is mismanaged for a period of time, what cortisol does is it munches away on one of the most important hormones that you really need, and that is progesterone. Progesterone is notoriously low in women who have estrogen-dominant conditions, so fibroids, endo, PCOS, even a lot of thyroid conditions as well, because estrogen can inhibit thyroid, your active thyroid hormone from, being there to being converted from T4. Anyways, not going to get too complicated here. But you need progesterone. It anchors estrogen. But when you're really stressed out for a really long time, it ends up munching away on progesterone. Progesterone is also like Valium, nature's natural Valium. It makes us feel good and nourished. So if you're somebody who really struggles with moodiness, and I'm talking about, feeling really depressed and wanting to cry one minute, and then the next minute feeling like you're going to chew someone's head off, that very well could be a low progesterone to higher estrogen ratio imbalance. That's not healthy. So when women say, I have PCOS and I'm struggling with weight, what supplement can I take to boost my progesterone and lower my estrogen? I go, it's not that fucking simple. I wish it were. My job would be so much easier, guys, but this is the reason why that you actually need coaching. I can tell you, you're never going to get the value that you're getting from Sexy Shed anywhere else for the price and for all the value that you're getting. I can guarantee that. I remember asking a woman yesterday on the call, I said, tell me what is missing from this program that you still need. And she couldn't answer it. I said, how much? And I listed everything that was included. How much is that worth to you? So it's really fascinating when you break it down to the value of the program, because we spend energy, money, time, we talk about, and really spend money on what we value at the end of the day. One of the things I also want to be able to mention here is the importance of gut function. remember that your gut, just kind of transitioning from the topic of stress, when we're really stressed out, I don't give a fuck about what you're eating, supplements you're taking. Your gut's microbiome will perpetually change if you're like Little Miss Stress Case, guaranteed. And the stress, newsflash, is never going to go away. It's how you're actually coping with it. And when women are sleep deprived, I tell this to my husband all the time, when women are sleep deprived, you literally are just taking a shotgun to your hormones. Like, you have zero chance of thriving. And for those of you guys who tend to eat late, I'm going to give you guys a little thing to understand. You must stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. You have to. If you are eating like an hour before you go to bed, what is happening there is you suppress melatonin, which is a hormone that we all remember as like a sleep hormone. Believe it or not, the mass majority of melatonin is actually produced in your gut. Some of it's produced in your brain, but a lot of it's produced in your gut. So when we suppress melatonin, what happens is that now cannot insulin, which is your fat storage hormone. So now you've eaten maybe an hour before bed, maybe it's snacking or maybe it's dinner. You go to bed and your melatonin isn't where it should be. And side note, I've had people ask me, well, can't I just take a melatonin supplement and kind of like cheat that system? No, you need to naturally produce this, okay? So you suppress melatonin production because you've just eaten close to bed. And now your insulin is not being suppressed because melatonin would suppress insulin. So now insulin is not being suppressed. So now you are storing fat. So in other words, your sleep is going to suck, which is going to add to your burnout symptoms. The sleep quality is going to suck. Your insulin production is also going to increase, which means you're going to store fat. So bad news bears all around. One of the things that Heidi had asked that I want to touch upon is she's like, I need to regain muscle. So what is really fascinating is that muscle, and I'm glad that you brought this up, Heidi. Muscle is the organ of longevity, hands down. As someone who has an autoimmune thyroid condition, I can tell you that my post-workout recovery isn't amazing. It is definitely slowly improving, okay? However, it's not amazing, but one of the things that I have started to incorporate, there's seals outside. Sorry, I have a view of the ocean. Actually, they're otters. Anyways, one of the things that I've been doing that I've been really liking has been lifting weights. The importance of lifting weights is so crucial. I don't care how old you are, but specifically for women over the age of 35, if you are not lifting weights, really important. And I'm not saying lift heavy. A lot of people will say that to you, but you can't go from nothing to like lifting heavy without it really being challenging. You got to earn your stripes. You got to work up to it slowly, okay? Which is exactly what I'm doing. Like, I'll have my little tiny weights, but like it's something, right? Even if it's your own body's its own body weight resistance at first, that's still something, okay? The reason why that this is so important is because testosterone decreases as we age naturally. If you're Little Miss Stress Case, stress management is really poor, not sleeping enough, that's a big one, then what you're going to see is that testosterone will also wane as well, all right? The problem with this is that as women get older, after the age of 35, they start to enter into an estrogen dominant state because their progesterone levels start to dip, but because so many of them are not getting the sleep that they require, the stress levels are poorly mismanaged because the mindset stuff, emotional trauma, emotional work, everything has not been addressed. Progesterone levels are lower, estrogen levels rise, and then what we end up seeing is women are starting to gain weight, okay? When we have estrogen that is higher, you will tend to store fat around the hips, thighs, and butt. This is not saying that you won't in other areas, but that generally is the main area that it stores, but certainly there's going to be some level of subcutaneous fat around the midsection as well, okay? Now, with that said, what is important to be able to address with that is since testosterone levels dip, now you're having that weight gain, like I mentioned, that increases around that time in our lives, but on top of it, now you've lost muscle as well because testosterone levels are lowering. So now you've gained weight and you're also got that flabbiness that's happening there too. When we lift weights, we actually become, we burn calories faster, we become more metabolically efficient, okay? These things improve. It also helps us support our mitochondrial health. This is one of the things that I spoke about yesterday that I haven't spoken about in previous years. All the content from the masterclass was absolutely brand new, and I just want to obviously give you guys a bit of a synopsis on some of the stuff that we spoke about. But when we end up seeing mitochondrial dysfunction, I want to share with you what the heck that means. Mitochondria, let's go back to science class. It is the powerhouse of your cells. It's like the battery, okay? A lot of things cause mitochondrial dysfunction, one of which definitely is as we get older, starts to lose its function a little bit. But other things can certainly impact it as well. Pain medications, if you're someone who takes like Advil a lot, cholesterol-lowering medications like statins, birth control, antidepressants, heavy metal toxicity, past or current gut infections, bacterial or parasitic. It's the reason why I think like test, don't guess with your gut. If you guys end up deciding that you want to get the early bird special, I sound like you guys are all old. The early bird special. If you end up wanting to join us in Sexy Shed, my hormone weight loss coaching program that's happening, that will go for 2 months, I would highly suggest, if you are somebody who's really looking to get to the bottom of things and fine tune your plan even greater, to make sure that you upgrade to get the stool testing. The stool testing, the price of the stool testing is not just for the test. It's for the test, the one-on-one consult with one of my practitioners, and your protocol as well. The other thing I want to mention to you is when you guys end up joining Sexy Shed, what I do, which is really awesome, is that every single year I do a massive giveaway. It only happens once a year. So when you join us, you will be counted as one entry towards this. And that entry will actually be having you entered in to win a package, testing kit package, which is a stool test and a hair trace mineral analysis testing, plus a private consult with yours truly. I do not take private consults very much anymore. So when you end up joining us, you will be entered to win that. So that is actually really fucking cool. So make sure that you to at least grab it and let us know. And side note, if you end up grabbing the stool test and the mineral testing that we have, if you are the person who ends up winning the big package, we'll just refund you what you paid for, which is really cool. Let's see. So one of the things that I want to mention to you, so mitochondrial dysfunction, I talked about how that's the powerhouse of our cells. I talked about some of the things that cause that to dysfunction. But some of the symptoms are pretty crazy, and it's something that is so overlooked. So we're looking at fatigue, brain fog, difficulties concentrating, slow to wake up in the morning, troubles falling asleep or staying asleep. Weight gain is a huge one. If your battery or powerhouse of your cell is not working efficiently, guess what? You're going to gain weight. Headaches, especially in the afternoon, is a big one. There's also, if you don't sweat or you sweat very little, that's also another key marker sign. Oh, Angela, thank you so much for writing that. Thank you, Melissa. Your advice and gut restart program changed my outlook on life. Sleeping early is a game changer. Melissa knows her stuff. Thank you very, very, very much for that. That's very sweet of you to say. But mitochondrial dysfunction is huge, and I think it's one of the most overlooked things that we see in health today. And one of the things that we do in our 2-phase, and I'm actually going to go through a little bit more of the symptoms with you. But one of the things that we do in Sexy Shed is we have a 2-phase protocol, and we focus on drainage. If you're wondering what the heck that means, if your elimination pathways are not open and you are detoxing, it's like trying to get all these toxins out, but having the door completely shut. You'll end up reabsorbing it. You'll feel worse. You'll feel sick. You'll have hormonal issues. It actually could be quite dangerous. So it's actually very cool that we are supporting that drainage. But in that protocol, we're also supporting mitochondrial function as well to really help to boost it up. This is a very key factor in the things that we are actually changing. The other symptoms of mitochondrial dysfunction: poor post-workout recovery, food intolerances or allergies, sensitive to bright light, dizziness, standing up too quickly, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder. Let's see here. As mentioned, food intolerances, gut infections, heavy or tingling limbs. These are all huge ones. So sleep deprivation certainly does add to that list of things that can certainly impact it. And believe it or not, for those of you guys who do have polycystic ovarian syndrome, about half of the people I work with do have it. So it makes up a huge majority of the people I work with. PCOS will generally make testosterone into estrogen, okay? This will eventually suppress your thyroid. So women who have PCOS are 3 times more likely to also have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition. This will eventually end up leading to a cascade of mitochondrial issues, which then decreases your metabolic rate to burn up calories. So in other words, no matter how little you eat, you're still gaining weight. And the reason for that is because there is mitochondrial dysfunction that's happening. And if you are not working on that from a lifestyle, supplement, and even food perspective, nothing is going to shift. It just won't. It won't. So it's a huge part of what we're actually doing. In phase 2 of our supplement protocol, we get a little bit heavy hitting on detoxing the gut, the liver. We definitely have a lot of liver support in phase 1 as well. You always need to be working on your liver, especially when you're trying to shed the weight. The liver is responsible for over 560 functions, extremely important to address it. But we also help to try to support glucose metabolism. When you're over the age of 35, especially in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, we end up going into an insulin resistant state. What that means is that insulin resistance is essentially, in very simplistic terms, the body keeps saying, store fat, store fat, store fat. So the goal is to actually become more insulin responsive. So you can say, oh no, we got enough insulin, we're good. We're good. Okay? And so, helping to address that is so flippin' crucial, especially when you get into your later years, because that's when it's needed the most. So this is something like, believe it or not, I would say probably about 2/3 of the women I work with are over the age of 35. So during that time, you go in that insulin resistant state. This is why, if you've tried diet and exercise, it hasn't worked for you. This is the reason why. Because it's not just about that. The weight is a symptom. And in the program, we address all the causative factors. So we develop insulin resistance because our bodies can no longer deal with the high carbohydrate foods we eat, even healthy ones. Fruits, whole grains, potatoes, or brown rice. Too much sugar builds up in the blood, and the rest is hormonal havoc. So in other words, this is when women start to experience hot flashes, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, weight gain, and other perimenopausal symptoms. As you get older, you keep pushing yourself and pushing the envelope in terms of like, how much can my body actually do? And this is something I've done myself as well, guys. I just kept showing up like I thought that I could keep pushing myself like I did in my earlier years. It just doesn't work. I'm going to be 43 this year. I have, your margin of error starts to decrease a little bit. But poorly managed stress is a huge one. You cannot operate the same way that you did leading up to this phase in your life. That chronic elevation of cortisol, hormone released in response to stress, remember, is another chief culprit in the decline of your sex hormones, okay? And this actually causes your blood sugar to rise, okay? You can put on weight, okay, especially around your belly. And women, if you are perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal, what is happening, especially in perimenopause, your ovaries are starting to cease to function, okay? And when that happens, your adrenals and your thyroid, also a part of this entire hormonal symphony, okay? Think of a symphony. One person in the symphony is not in the symphony. All the other people in the symphony have to work so much harder. It starts to sound a little bit out of tune. But now other people have way more work to do. So now there's more pressure on the adrenals. There's more pressure on the thyroid. And this is the reason why that I'm like, lifestyle changes and mindset and emotional and trauma work is so important. We have, and if you guys don't believe that there's any emotional trauma behind weight, you're fucking kidding yourself. There is emotional trauma even behind hormonal issues, okay? I can say this to be true because in the masterclass, I showed my ultrasound report of my thyroid nodule that was a millimeter away from getting biopsied for cancer. And I implemented a specific breathwork practice. And I'm actually interviewing in Sexy Shed. She's going to be doing and sharing with you guys the exact breathwork practice that I did to help shrink my nodules. And it literally improved the quality of my life so much. It shrinked it to the point that it was, my doctors were going, what did you do? We were about to biopsy you for cancer. What did you do? And I'm like, the only thing I changed was this. So she's actually one of the experts, which is extremely exciting because I know so many people have asked as well. A good question, Heidi says, so is keto the way to go? So one of the things that I did mention yesterday in the masterclass is that keto, when we hear about keto, who are we hearing it by? Majority is men. You can't do keto. Most people who do keto will message me and go, I tried keto, I tried paleo, it didn't work for me. Why? And what I'm saying, even low carb keto doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter. If you're doing keto and you're a woman, you can't do that throughout your entire cycle. You're cyclic. You're cyclic. You have cycles. Even if your cycles are regular, even if you have no more period, you cannot do the same diet the entire month. You can't. It's insane. You're never either going to keep up, and no, you're not going to lose weight. You need a certain amount of carbs to be able to produce progesterone so that you ovulate. Progesterone, progestation. Okay? And what we do in Sexy Shed is we help you time out. When is a higher fat, low carb diet better for you? When should you cycle in the carbs? And that's whether you have a cycle, whether your cycles are regular, or whether you're in perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause. Okay, so all these things really do matter in the grand scheme of things. Otherwise, you're literally showing up and eating the way that a man would eat. You're not a man. You got to adjust. The same thing is to be true if you are exercising. Ever tried to do I've done this. Ever tried to do an exercise routine for the whole month and be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do? Then all of a sudden, well, bam, you get your period. Okay? I have my period. Today is my first day of my period. Okay? And did I work out today? No. But am I going to work out because this is a part of I do Aloe Moves online. And there's an exercise routine. So every single day it's a different exercise. Am I going to be like, well, it's Wednesday and I'm supposed to be doing, legs today? Hell no. You have to flow with your flow. You have to adjust accordingly. And this is one of the things that we're doing. In fact, one of the other experts that we are interviewing is Dr. Stephanie Estima, whose book is coming out next month called The Betty Body, I should say. And the very cool thing about her is that she really talks about a lot. She's going to talk a lot about how we have to eat and adjust. We have to train and adjust accordingly. And that women, believe it or not, and I know many of you guys are going to scoff and laugh at this, but women actually require more sex than men. And you're going to go, you're crazy. I have zero libido. If you don't have a libido, that's not normal. It's not normal. You should have a libido. And if you don't, that is hormonally something askew. And these are one of the many things that we address in Sexy Shed because it's never just about the weight. Every single one of you guys that are watching here today and are saying I've got weight to lose. I've got all this weight to lose. How do I lose the weight? Frankly, if you're focusing on the weight, you're going to fail yourself every damn time. That is a symptom. It's a symptom of something bigger that needs to be addressed. And that's why in this 2-month coaching program, we address all the things that are causing that weight to be there to begin with. And that's the reason why that I ended up developing this, because it's extremely important. But the gut function is absolutely key. I spoke a little bit about the gut, but I didn't talk too much about mineral balancing. One of the things that I did mention yesterday that I want to share with you guys is you should be drinking half your body weight in ounces of water, but add sea salt to your water. Really important because it helps you to efficiently hydrate. One of the biggest questions I get is, well, doesn't that raise blood pressure? To be completely honest with you, you have to make sure that you're getting also your potassium sources in as well, because potassium and sodium work together as like a pump for your cells to really help to usher nutrients into your cells. But you need roughly about 4,500 milligrams of potassium daily. So sources for that is like avocado, coconut water, winter squash, sweet potato, all of those things. But minerals really do function as the foundation of your house, or of your house. House is a metaphor, okay? House is a metaphor for your body. So without minerals, you can't absorb vitamins and give your adrenals a zero chance, for those of you guys who are burnt out, a zero chance of your hormones thriving. And our detox efforts will end up being impaired, okay? And we run the chance of gaining weight. So because mineral balancing is so important for hormones, for weight loss, one of the other upgrades that we also mention to you guys is the hair trace mineral analysis. We shorten it to HTMA as an acronym for short. And what that does is that test also includes obviously your consult, your protocol with one of my practitioners, and that also helps to specially design a protocol for you. And if you want to get the gut testing and the HTMA testing upgrades, you don't have to get these guys. But if you decide that you want to get both, or one or the other, but if you do both, you'll save money because you're going to get both tests read in one consult, which is kind of cool. But the beauty of the HTMA, why minerals are so important, is because when you are really low in minerals, what ends up happening is your body will sequester heavy metals. There are so many heavy metals that are wreaking havoc on women's weight loss efforts. And because the reason why that they do this is because they impact the thyroid's function. Okay? They impact the thyroid's function. They can drive up estrogen levels. They can create so many mood disorders, mental health issues, etc. All of this shit leads to weight gain. I am telling you this. If you missed yesterday's masterclass, a replay would have been sent to you, so make sure that you check the your inbox for more. Even spam folder, make sure that you look for that because it is there. All right, guys, so those are some of the recaps from yesterday, but I can tell you right now, one of the things I want to leave you with here is one of the things that I had discovered is that there is a major unaddressed trauma piece leading to emotional patterns that keep us repeating patterns where we pack on pounds. The risk of becoming obese is 36% higher for women who had experienced at least 4 negative life experiences in the past 5 years, compared with women who had experienced no negative life events within that time frame. The more negative life events endured, the higher the rate of obesity. So as someone who has suffered a lot of trauma in her life, I have been open with some of that, including a sexual assault that happened when I was 21. I had no idea that this was a huge reason why I had struggled emotionally. And this is one of the reasons why that emotional and trauma work is so integral in Sexy Shed, because it is a huge piece to the overall puzzle that you may be missing, that is repeating patterns. It's why talk therapy alone can only take us so far, because talk therapy works on the mind, which is important. But when we experience something in our lives that's traumatic, you don't think it first, you feel it first. Then you make a mental, label and articulation and perception over what did that event mean? What did that experience mean to me? And you label it. How am I feeling? Well, we label it as like, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm lonely, whatever it is. Those are labels for how you feel. It's not necessarily how you feel. How you feel is a resonance within your body that truly does need to be addressed. So guys, I want to leave you with this because it's extremely important that I share with you guys that the early bird pricing for the Sexy Shed has been extended, but it's only going to actually be there until the end of day Thursday. So if you are thinking of joining us, because we have experts from Dr. Devin Miles, who's talking about how to manage your food cravings, and prevent you from overeating. We have Dr. Far Rahman, who's going to be talking about thyroid. We have Dr. Saru Bala, who's talking about PCOS. We have so many freaking experts, and the majority of it, just a side note, are doctors. So you are getting coached by me, but you're getting all these amazing interviews by doctors over the course of the 60 days that literally 1, 2, 3, 4 doctors out of the 7 powerhouse experts. Actually, I lie, 5 doctors, because the other expert that we have is Dr. Carrie Jones, who's going to be talking about biohacking for women, which is really freaking cool, and I'm so excited about that interview. So if you guys are interested in joining us and working with me, I would highly suggest jump on this now, because this is probably the cheapest price you are going to ever get, especially for the value, which is the recipes, the food guidelines, the 8 powerhouse experts offering live coaching, also the 60 days in the Facebook group. There are so many things. There's yoga nidra recordings, cooking tutorials, so much value that's literally over $1,000, and you end up getting an entry towards winning that big annual prize, which is my big over $2,000 value prize that includes all the testing that I spoke about today and a private consult with me. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I will make sure that I check in to see if you guys have any questions. But get on this, because the early bird pricing is ending tomorrow, end of day. All right, guys, that is it for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on my YouTube channel for a live stream. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, because I do videos all the time, every single Wednesday. If you have not subscribed to this channel, you are missing out. I've got so many videos that you can kind of like binge watch maybe after this one that are a heck of a lot of fun, and more is coming up, so stay tuned. So subscribe, give this a like. All right, guys, I love you guys, and we'll chat soon. Bye.